What's good, Desi Hip Hop fam? You are tuned in to the Unfiltered podcast, usually live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. But this week, this episode is pre-recorded, because of scheduling and all that stuff. But this week, we have some dope North American artists, man. I really wanted to make sure they could make it on time. So we're pre-recording this episode. But nonetheless, this is going to be fun for all of you. Remember, all of the episodes also show up on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and just everywhere you can get podcasts. So, look us up, share it with your friends if you enjoy the advice and the hangouts that we do on the Unfiltered podcast. And today, this episode, like every other episode, is brought to you by Tsunomi.io. Tsunomi, if you don't know Tsunomi, you need to find out about Tsunomi. Go search Tsunomi.io. It's a platform for independent South Asian artists around the world to distribute your music to all the platforms around the world, market it, get it out there, submit it for playlists and all that stuff. If you're a rapper, producer, pop singer, Punjabi singer, I don't care. Whatever you are, you can use Tsunomi.io to put out your music to your fans. So go ahead and do that. The other sponsored partner of this show is APPLAUS. APPLAUS.artist. APPLAUS is a dope platform for those who do live shows online, live videos on Facebook or YouTube. You can monetize those shows using APPLAUS. So go find out, man. Just search it. Figure it out, and I know you will find out everything you need to know. Without further ado, man, I am your host, DJ Raf, live and direct from the U.S. Well, usually live. See, I've done 24. Today's episode 24. All of these episodes were live, so I'm getting the live thing mixed up. But it's all good. Today, I'm excited to introduce 3 artists from North America. And the first one is an artist from Canada, from Toronto. This guy, man, he spits raw rhymes. Like every week, he's always dropping freestyles. He's always dropping collaborations. He's always dropping a new song as often as he possibly can. So please join me in welcoming Spitty from Toronto.
Yeah, what's good, DJ Raf?
What's good, Spitty, man?
Dope intro, hype intro, man.
Hell yeah, bro.
Walk into the octagon.
Yes, that's how we do, man. I get super excited, because this is so much fun for me as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, man. We're moving on. We're going to introduce the next artist. He's a rapper, producer from California. And he's dropped a lot of projects. He works with a lot of artists. He's a producer who produces numerous artists, rappers, and all sorts of artists all over the U.S. and also South Asia. He's recently released music through Sony last year, and this year he keeps up his grind and by dropping a lot of music. There was a recent EP that he's going to talk about as well. Please join me in welcoming Saheer.
Hey, what up, Rav? How you doing, man? Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah,
Appreciate
man.
the intro, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm so happy to have you.
Spitty, what up, bro?
What's up, man?
Hell yeah, man. And, last but not least, I want to introduce a producer from Los Angeles, California. He's originally from Chicago, but this producer, man, he's produced numerous artists that you guys know, man. He's worked with the likes of Raja Kumari, Jazz Dhami, and now he's in a label where he's the A&R of artists like, Tekashi and Tory Lanez and numerous other artists, man. Please join me in welcoming Peter Madana.
Yo.
What's good, bro?
What's good, man? I don't know if I can keep up with that intro, man. I gotta live up to my reputation now.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, man. I had Tory Lanez in my head, and then I just lost it. I had Trey Songz coming up in my head. I was like, no, it's not Trey Songz.
You know what? I'm gonna make sure to put him on my list. He's the next person I'm gonna sign. What's good, boys? What's up, Spitty? Saheer?
Yo, what up, man?
Man, I gotta say, Saheer looks extra comfy on that couch.
Yeah, man, this is comfort of home. I love this. As weird as the world is right now, you can get comfortable.
Big facts.
Yeah, all of you guys, man, you guys live in states where, the good shit is legal. So I'm sure you guys are extra comfortable, man.
All the way.
That's a daily thing,
No plug intended.
This is going to be fun. All right, man, let's start, man. I just want to know what you guys have been up to, the past a few months, you know, in quarantine and shit. In the US, it's a lot worse than it is for Spitty in Toronto, man. But, Peter, man, let's start with you. How has this year been so far?
You know what? I've throughout this whole like quarantine process, I mean, quote unquote quarantine. I mean, technically, US has never been on quarantine; they've been on lockdown. But it's definitely been interesting, at the least to say. But I've been trying to look at that negative into a positive, and really looking at it as a blessing. You know, I've been releasing a lot of projects, finishing a lot of projects this year. You know, both on, you know, the label side and independently and for other artists. So I'm blessed to say that I'm still around and I'm working and just humbled to still be in the music industry during this pandemic. So yeah, I'm blessed.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Love that. You know, that's one thing I respect about artists like and musicians and, you know, the people like us, man, like the grinders. It's like, doesn't matter what's going on. We just got to keep going. We don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been quarantined, you know, like just been working, you know, in the lab. So
yeah. Tell me to hear about what you've been up to this year.
At least 2020. I released an EP with Thoughts for Now called Don't Trip. It's streaming now with music from Temper, a duo out of London. Other than that, for myself personally, I've been like kind of taking a step back and just reassessing my own motivation and stuff for making music. And while doing that, you know, I've been working with the likes of Spitty here and many other talented, you know, MCs in the North American side, and you know, mixing and mastering. Like that's been kind of like my thing at this point. Just, you know, just for the rappers that are here that did like what I do to my music and wanted me to, you know, treat theirs. So yeah, it's been working on that side.
Yeah, man, you've been busy, man. Sometimes I see your name in songs that I didn't even know that you did the mix master. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, wait a second, that's Saheer's brand.
yeah, High Rise Entertainment. Yeah. You gotta differentiate, because then people looking at you like, wait, you're the artist, but you know, you gotta, you know, make that whole company sort of thing. But I just recently did 3 tracks for Sikandar. That was pretty big for myself. That was cool. Nice. Like working with him across the pond. Yeah, that was good, man.
Nice, sure. Man. I'll definitely have some questions about that in a little bit.
Sure.
Spitty, bro, how has it been in Toronto, man? I know it hasn't been too bad with Corona and stuff out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like hit or miss. Like we're really cautious with it too. So we've kind of had our lockdowns in the beginning, and then we're actually back in lockdown right now. Like all the restaurants are closed. You can't really do much, you know, and like concerts and stuff have been shut down the whole year, which has been like a big setback for sure. But man, I like what Peter was saying about just trying to think of like the positives or trying to see like what you can make out of it. And I think this year was a year definitely to practice and like hone your craft and really work on what you've been working on to like be ready for 2021. You know, 2020 could be like a year to really work on that. And for me, at least, I've been able to be consistent, and I've been dropping like a single every month,
right?
And growing my network like online too. Like for example, connecting with the Desi Hip Hop platform, like that only happened really through me taking the time to connect with people online, which maybe I wouldn't have been doing as much because like I'd be moving more locally or like in person. So I think, you know, there's still avenues to make noise for sure.
Nice. I respect that. I like that. That's awesome. You have been dropping a lot of music, man, this whole year. Like, because we curate these playlists, you know, and I'm usually the one listening to all the songs and going through everything. And it's like every week, every like month, every few weeks, I would say, I hear something from you, and I'm like, damn, okay, this needs to go into that. And you know, it's fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate y'all always sharing my music, man. It's been dope.
Hell yeah, bro. I like that. Yeah. That's amazing. All right, man. So the way, you know, a lot of the viewers know is that the way this show is organized is that it's kind of like a game show. You know, we have different segments. We get to know each other through these segments. So we're going to get started with the first segment called Scavenger Hunt. So Scavenger Hunt, this is a segment where I ask the guests to share something from their house, from their room, from their apartment, wherever they are, something with a story to share with the audience. So let's get started, man, with Saheer. Let's do Saheer.
Hey, that's crazy. It's crazy timing here. It's not a something. It's actually a someone.
Okay.
This is my puppy, Leo.
Oh. Hey, Leo.
This is Leo. I wasn't actually there for the puppy part. My wife brought him up for like the first couple of years. But then after, like, you know, we got together, like, he's been like my best bud, you know, like he's been kicking it with me while I work. He's been teaching me a lot about like balance, really, like with life and stuff. Cause like before him, you know, like we get holed up in our sessions and stuff. We go 6-8 hours without like drinking water, you know, or like stretching or something. So like, yeah. So, just, you know, taking care of him and like making sure that he's good, you know, like it teaches you balance a little bit and not to like take yourself too seriously and whatnot. So yeah, man, this is my homie.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome. That's a good one. That's a good story. I like that. I don't think any of the guests ever brought a puppy to the
yeah, hell yeah, man. He's always rocking for sure. All right, go ahead.
Let's see, Spitty, bro. What do you got for us?
Yeah, man. You said this, and I was just sitting at my desk, and I looked up, and I seen this ring, bro. I realized it's a bit hard to see on the camera, but you can tell it's really big, right? Ooh. This is actually like a replica of the championship ring the Toronto Raptors won last year, NBA championship. I wish you could see it more, but like this is basically the gold ring, bro, and I have it here. And you know, whenever I look up, it's like motivation. It's like a reminder, like you got to work hard to get what you want. You know, like. Yeah, you know, like they're already at the top of the top just to be in the NBA. So then to win out of the NBA, bro, that's like next level commitment. You know, it takes real dedication. So it's just like it's good to have reminders like that around you to, you know, keep you motivated, keep you locked in. And that was like a sick year. And like obviously this year we've had COVID, so we've kind of been shut down. So like, you know, like Instagram and Snapchat always gives you like the memories and stuff. So it's kind of dope to be like looking at everything that happened last year, because I would be going to Toronto every game. Like we have this thing called Jurassic Park, which is like outside the stadium. All the fans just chill outside, and it's like a tailgating, but they got like a big screen, and you just watch the game too. It's like nuts. Like you just go there for free, and you just go wild every night.
Nice.
That's sick. That's important. You know, I also believe like to have things that remind you of greatness. You know, around you. That's always good. Awesome, and thank you for sharing. Peter, bro, what do you gotta share with us?
Man, I'm a boring individual. All I do is talk about music and audio stuff. So
hey, that's not boring.
No, we love that.
I'm gonna bore everybody for a minute here, or give you guys some education, whatever you want to look at it as. But so this is, I guess, you know, it's a pop filter. For people who don't know what a pop filter is, basically what it does is eliminates a lot of the spitting and the breathing, you know, when somebody records or tracks in a studio. And it's actually a myth that you need to be in a professional recording studio and you need an actual like recording booth to get the, you know, the best quality of recording. If this was probably 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe that was the case because the technology wasn't up to par. However, we are in 2020, especially this year. I think it has been the most important and imperative for people because everyone's been, you know, tracking at home, mixing at home, like Saheer has, and just, you know, doing things everywhere. So as it's been a myth to record in a vocal booth. So the thing is, the person never needs to be in a vocal booth. The only thing that ever needs to be isolated is the microphone, right? And that's how you get the most adequate recording, the best quality recording, the least amount of sibilance and breathing and all that kind of stuff. So this is called a chaotica eyeball. I actually had seen it from one of my favorite all-time producers, Timbaland. You know, I was kind of like scrolling up on his IG and I was like, yo, what the hell is this, you know, eyeball looking thing? And then I kind of, you know, I've seen similar things or similar models in other recording studios, but I had never tested it out. And I was like, all right, let me give it a go during COVID because I'm tracking a lot of demos at home. So let me get this guy. And then let me tell you, it is a game changer for any producers, any engineers, any vocalists trying to do demos, final, you know, recordings or anything like that. This is the way to go. You know, people from Diplo to Justin Bieber to anybody record things on the road or in a hotel room, anywhere. So this is a lifesaver. It's been a lifesaver for me. And that's something I definitely want to share with you guys. It's amazing. Chaotica eyeball. No brand placement intended, but you guys can hire me.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love that thing, man. I've actually seen a few other people using that, and it's
hell yeah,
it's important.
Yeah, I seen Tyga rocking on that, like for a couple of his singles, like just sitting right next to his engineer. Like that's the way to go, man. It's such a better way, I think, like just to work together. And,
I think it's just about convenience these days. You know, it's
sure,
you know, going into, you know, recording studio and being separated from the producer engineer. I mean, that's cool. I'd still do it. You know, I'm a studio owner as well. So like I have a booth, I do that. However, I do give people the option. I'm like, hey, you can just chill next to me. We can vibe out and you can just track some melodies really quick, you know? So
exactly. Yeah.
having that flexibility is really key.
Right.
For sure.
Hell yeah, man. Love that. That's awesome. I think that brings me to my thing that I'm sharing. It's just a book. It's an audio book, actually. It is the new Obama book that I've been listening.
Hey, hell yeah.
Since it came out, but man, this guy talks slow, bro. He talks so slow. I have to speed it up to like twice the speed to really like keep up. But
that's funny.
It's nice though. It's been interesting to hear somebody nice, you know, in the political world who knows how to speak, at least, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
He's a good public speaker. Audiobooks are just interesting in general because you do like 1,000 takes, and then, you know, out of those takes you got to like really, it's just really tedious work to like pick the takes, scrub through it, clean it up, and then it's really like monotonous work, you know?
Right.
Good Lord.
I think it's the way to go though. Audiobooks are amazing.
Right. So
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Since you sound like you have some experience in this, have you recorded anybody's audiobook before?
I've never done any kind of recording ever in my life.
I'm
totally messing with you. Yeah. I've done some like audiobook stuff. I've done some stuff for like film, obviously music and stuff. So, you know, earlier in like my career, I was, you know, as most people do, you kind of like hop around to kind of see where you fit in, or, you know, what's a viable career? How do you make money in the music industry and stuff? One of the things that I came across was like audiobooks. And many people don't even know it's you know, audiobook is even like a professional audio / music industry. I think when audiobooks first kind of came about, right? It was just only voice only. So they would just track, and, you know, sometimes they would have like well-known celebrities. Like, I mean, personally, I would love to hear a 3-hour book by Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want to hear that guy talk? So I can totally relate. I would want to hear Obama talk. I mean, he's a great public speaker. Unlike our old president, no pun intended. But yeah, it's very like tedious, monotonous work. But now, you know, as we speed through the years, now there's sound design, there's like audio, and there's music in audiobooks and stuff. So, which is really cool. It really gives it like a full experience.
Yeah, that's true. It really paints a picture.
Yeah. Yo, man, I gotta say, I'm feeling your man bun. You have a man bun?
Oh, yeah, I do, bro.
Yo, I'm feeling that, dude. Man. Let me see that side profile. Okay.
Not that long.
Hey, Wagwan, you're done now.
It's kidding. That's funny, man. All right, bro. That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing, man. And before we, you know, move on to the next segment, bro, I wanted to ask Spitty a question, man.
What's up, man?
Tell me a little more about, you know, you rap a lot, like, you know, you're dropping so many songs and stuff. Like, do you record at home, or do you go to a friend's studio, or how's your process been this year?
Yeah, man. Luckily I have a friend who has his own studio, so we've been able to kind of keep it, you know, like quarantine clean, because it's just like me and him, so we keep the numbers low and things like that. My house doesn't really have a setup to record, but now that I know about the eyeball, that's a game changer right there. You know, definitely might start implementing that into my recording process. But also, like, I prefer working with people because, like, I need that input, you know? Like, I could be super, like, indecisive too sometimes, just picking through takes and stuff. And sometimes you just need to hear that outside opinion to be like, yo, you're picking between, like, nothing, or this is the one, you know, just, like, help you make that final decision or whatever. So I like bouncing ideas between people. So personally, for me, like, I like to collaborate. And I don't really dabble too much in, like, the engineering or producing side. Like, I leave that to the professionals. So for me, I kind of need to work with someone, and I like for them to be there in the process too, so we could, like, create those ideas and brainstorm right there in the moment, you know?
Nice. Yeah, fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. I like that too. Yeah. Collaborative effort really leads, you know, a lot of times leads to great things. So that's awesome. All right, man. Thank you for sharing. So we'll move on to the next segment of the show, and this is called Social Undistancing. So social undistancing, you know, in this world where we're all socially distancing ourselves from each other, in this segment, I want to bring us a little bit closer. You know, I want each of each of us to get to know each other a little bit better. And in this segment, we ask each other questions. So I'm gonna ask, for example, I'm gonna ask Spitty a question, and Peter is, and Saheer is as well. And we'll ask each other a bunch of questions, and really get to know each other, man, a little bit better. So I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off with Spitty this time. Let's just start with Spitty this time. So my question to you is, by the way, you can answer or skip any questions that we ask. So
sure.
So it's up to you. My question to you is, when did you, how did you get inspired into hip hop? Like, what were your initial, inspirations, and what brought you to today? That's my question to you. But let's see what Peter and Saheer has as well. And then you can choose whichever ones you want to answer. You can answer all of them, or you can skip some of them. It's up to you.
All right, cool.
So let's see. Peter, what's your question for Spitty?
Okay. I guess it's a two-part question. Have you, as you're a rapper, so like the first question would be, what is the toughest challenge as a rapper to kind of be in the industry amongst all the other rappers out there? Like, how do you individualize yourself with that? And then part B would be, have you tried to go outside your comfort zone and tried singing as well?
Nice, great questions, man. Saheer, do you have a question for him?
Who gave you your rap name? Was it you, or was it the homie? Like, I'd like to know who thought of Spitty, because like Spitty definitely sounds like a video game character for sure. Like, just come through, like annihilate. So, yeah.
No, all right. Thank you.
All right, that's dope. Okay, I could probably answer these all. All right, I'll start with DJ Rap's question, because that's like kind of the beginnings, right? So yeah, man, hip hop, man. I've been into hip hop for a long time. Like, my parents were obviously like immigrants from India, and I was actually born in the States, and then I moved up to here, Canada, when I was young, and we lived like with my cousins, my older cousins. So they were kind of older and already in school and stuff, so they kind of put me on game like to what their friends were listening to. And back then we used to use like LimeWire and like BearShare and all that kind of stuff, which is basically, like, if you're young and listening to this, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Basically, you have to like go on the internet and like rip your own MP3 files and like find songs. So like we were diving into whole like catalogs and discographies of like G-Unit mixtapes and like Nas and Jay-Z. This is like early 2000s, like Get Rich or Die Trying dropped and stuff like that. So that's when I like got in, and like I can like really remember like the first time I like saw hip hop like visually and like was like, this is it, was like when I finally got BT. Like, we upgraded our cable and we got BT, and they used to have like video countdowns. And I remember like it was like back to back was like this song by Nas called I Know I Can, which is like his like really motivational song, and it's like directed at kids too, and I was like a little kid at the time. So I felt like super inspired. So like it's like the whole chorus is like, I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard today, I'll be where I want to be. Like, it's dope. And then right after that is like 50 Cent in the Club, which is like, it's just like a banger, but it's like the complete opposite, But I was like, this is hip hop. It's like all of this combined, And like, I always liked reading and like poetry or just like books and things like that. So it was kind of like the musical progression of that is what I felt. And music to me has always been like a motivation and like an inspiration. And I feel like for me, I wanted to instill that feeling back into other people. So the best way I knew how through was music. So that's really what got me into rapping.
Nice.
Yeah, man. And then damn, now I'm kind of forgetting all the questions. But so here said, how'd I get my rap name, right? Man, so it kind of relates, is like, I don't know, at least when I was younger, I didn't see anyone in the rap game that was really looking like me. And I don't know, I look like a lot nerdier than this or whatever. So I kind of felt like if I had a name, people needed to know like what it was about. I didn't want people to hear the name and question like what I was doing, like what type of whatever craft I was making. So it's like, the name Spitty is like, you hear Spitty and you're like, oh, you spit or something. So it's like, it's just in the name, It's like,
that's real.
It became obvious that I'm a rapper. So it's like,
let's go.
At least you didn't just put like Little and then your street name or something,
Yeah. And I definitely don't fit into like the whole Lil Young sound. So I steered clear from that.
That makes sense.
Man. And then Peter, your question was about
how do you
your second question was about singing and your first was about standing out, right?
Yep.
Honestly, man, the standing out is something I think about every day, and like to the best of my abilities, I feel like you gotta know who you are and create your brand and image around that, and really like give the people something to like get behind. Like people need to feel like you're behind yourself, like you're gonna go somewhere. And then once you can do that and you can like motivate people, I think it's like all of us are talented. We all have like we're all good at rapping or singing or whatever. But what sets like the legends apart or whatever is they got like this brand, they got this image, they got this like thing that people gravitate towards, and that's really what I want to work on, is like get into that, where it's like you're like more than just a rapper. You're like a person, like an artist that people look up to in more aspects than just your rapping abilities, which I think will help me cut through the music for sure. And singing is like, honestly, I am actually just trying to start singing, but first I want to like really practice my singing and exercise it. I've got a lot of great singing friends. My homegirl Amira, she's like an R&B singer here from Toronto, and she like recently gave me her like all these singing exercises she had, because she took like actual proper vocal lessons. And I'm trying to take like proper lessons too, but right now everyone's doing it like online, virtually. And I feel like with like lessons, I kind of want to be there in person so they can like hear it properly and critique me properly. So I'm just waiting on that till like 2021, but practice at least on my own. But yeah, that's definitely, you know, at least with today's rap, it's so like melodic and everything mixed together that singing is almost like a necessity, you know?
Right.
You kind of got to have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's right, man. Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing, man. Yeah, I got to know a lot more about you that I didn't even know. So that's awesome. Love it. All right, let's move on to Peter. Peter, my question to you is, you know, you work in a label and you do A&R. I know you work with, the likes of Tory Lanez and Tekashi and, the big names already, right? But when you're looking at non-big names, you know what I mean? Like the next up and coming, what are a few things that you guys look at, as a team? What do you guys look at like for up and coming artists? That's my question to you. So here, do you have a question for Peter?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the actual like recording side. When it comes down, to I know that this might get a little technical, but like when it comes to actually recording performances, do you find that like compressing, before going into the computer works for your process, or do you like to record everything dry as possible and then do all your attenuation after?
Dope question. I like that.
I love it.
Spitty, man, do you have a question for Peter?
Yeah, man. I feel like you've been around and worked with a lot of like big artists, people that have a name behind them. I'm wondering, do you find that there's any like common trait or like characteristic or something across them that they kind of share that you feel like, yeah, this makes them, or this is part of why they are who they are?
Love it, man. Love it. Great question. All right, Peter, the mic is yours.
All right, let's see. Let me get the compression out of the way, because now that's stuck in my head. So engineering is just one of those things that, like that's actually like my foundation. I have a degree in audio engineering for people that don't know, but my background is kind of that, even before I got on like the administrative side and label side of things. So, I mean, as most people, you develop a lot of bad habits, as was I. You can only attend YouTube University so long, right? And like most people, I was developing all these bad habits, so that then you kind of like learn like a systematic approach on how to record everything, right? And then you kind of get into that momentum, and you do that for a while. But then the minute you leave schooling and then you get on the real world, and this is something that you learn very quickly, as I'm sure you guys are aware. It's like, it doesn't matter what the hell you learn. Like, it's cool. That's a great foundation. And no one really cares how you got from A to Z when the record is playing on the radio, right? When a Drake record is playing on the radio, they're not like, oh, did you produce this in Ableton or did you do it in L Studio? No one gives a shit. Sorry, can we swear on this? My bad.
Yeah. It's unfiltered. Just be you.
Nice. I like that, pun intended. But yeah, like, no one gives a shit like how you got to that point, unless like for the nerds like you and I, it's like, hey, what did you do to get to that point? Which is dope, because I love having those conversations, but no one cares. So like, to go circle back on your question, compression is one of those things. It's like, for people that don't understand what compression is, it's basically taking a signal and it's squashing it, and it's making it, it's creating a room for more dynamics. So think of a waveform to kind of give you a visual, right? A waveform goes like this. There's a faction and then a rare faction, which is the bottom of a waveform. So when you're recording, those dynamics get compressed, but at the same time, there's these little tiny gaps that open up. Now, in between those gaps, you can put reverb, you can put delays, you can put vocals, you can put chops, whatever it is. So, you know, when the Beatles were recording in Abbey Road in the UK, you know, they were recording like an actual inline console. They were going through like an actual like outboard gear, similar to like what we have over here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but and then going in actual like big mixing board, right?
Right.
This day and age, it's not really necessary to do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge gearhead. I love, you know, running analog and real gear and stuff, but it's totally not necessary, especially with all the technology that we have, you know, available at our fingertips. I think you can get really close, if not like exact. You know, I think we're pretty much there, like 99%, pretty much like accurate. So recording into a compressor before going into like a DAW, digital audio workstation, for people that don't know, like Pro Tools or Logic or whatever. It definitely helps, and what that does is it fattens it. And you have to think about it kind of a non-linear approach. If you try to make the audio the best it can possibly be before you even affect it, before you even throw EQ on it or reverb or even mix it down or anything that sounds good already, that's great. That's minimal work on your end to achieve that sound, right? However, that's something called destructive recording, right? You cannot press Command Z from an Apple and undo that. Once it's recorded like that, it's recorded. You can't go back. So that's the sucky part. So if you do record dry and you don't have a compressor going into it or whatever, then you know, it's cool. Then you have more flexibility on the back end. If that answers the question.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for bearing with the geeks.
No. I love it.
I love that.
To kind of like piggyback off of that, I have no like issues sharing those kind of things with people. But and on the flip side, I do know people that don't share those kind of things. I'm a big believer of there are no trade secrets, especially in the music industry. There's no formula. Right. There's no one way to do something. And I'm always about education. How can I pass that knowledge on to somebody else? And how can we better them? You know? So I'm always like spread that awareness with people. So yeah. Raph, what was your question, man? Sorry, man, I'm spacing out.
It was right, in the label scenario, like how do you look at things for unsigned artists, like
so it's any given things, right? It just it depends on my mood that day. It depends like what I'm listening to. It depends on like, you know, what kind of stuff I'm currently listening to, what's the vibe, what's the temperature outside, you know, what's the current situation, pandemic right now, like all this stuff, right? So I definitely take all of that stuff into like, you know, consideration when looking for stuff. But when I'm looking for an artist or a producer or a songwriter or a DJ or a performer or any one of those things is something that's going to make you stand out. Now, how do you stand out, right? That's such a broad term. And that can be anything. A lot of people have the package, right? They're an unbelievable singer, but guess what? Maybe their image isn't on point, right? Then you have to do a little rebranding. You have to do a little bit of restructuring, a little bit of artist development to get to that point. So maybe that's the issue. However, there's a lot of people that fake the funk out there, right? That have the whole image, that have like 1 million followers. And then, you know, you go to your Spotify plays, they're all like, you know, not legit on the front end, but then they make it seem like it's something that it's really not. And then, you know, you got to do a little bit of analytical research to like figure out like, okay, cool, this guy's lying to me. Is it really worth me to invest my time to get it? But I always put myself in other people's shoes, and I always say, fake it till you make it. You know, like everybody does it. You got to do it. You have to. You got to put the legwork. You got to do the 10,000 hours regardless, right? But sometimes those experiences and those opportunities come because you fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? You just don't know. But best believe if you get that opportunity, you got to back it up. Otherwise, you're gonna look like a fool, right? But I'm always about something that stands out to me. Maybe this is like my artist side and producer side kind of coming. I think that's kind of what makes me me. I look at it from like a musical standpoint and then the business side standpoint. I'm always looking for something that's catchy, something within the first 5 seconds that catches my ear. As you guys are aware, everyone's attention span is like minimal, right? And it gets shortened every day. Think about when we're scrolling through Instagram. Or do we really look at that post and listen to that song, or do we just keep scrolling up? You know what I mean? Everyone's in that similar situation. So it has to stand out to me visually. It has to stand out to me branding wise. And it also has to stand out to me audibly, which means tone is really important for me, for a vocalist at least. You have to sound a little bit different. You have to have something to say rather than just regurgitating about money, cars, and the usual suspects, right? And then just really individualizing yourself, just really separating yourself and figuring out, your intention. What is your intention for making music? Do you just want to make money? Do you want to be a great artist? Are you just in it for the short run? Or are you in it to be in it for like 20 years from now, So you really got to so I look at all that stuff into consideration. And of course, the obvious, like numbers. Unfortunately, on the label side of things, numbers are something that we do look at. However, it's not everything that I look at. I'm kind of a little bit more in a traditional sense from that aspect, because I do think content speaks for itself, and that's very important before anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Facts, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. Quick question, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
For Peter, Peter, you, how do you feel about artist development? Do you feel like that's something that the I don't want to call them gatekeepers, but like the ones that have the opportunities, do you feel like they invest the manpower or the time in doing that, or do you feel like this is something we got to figure out?
It's really subjective, man. I think we're in 2020 and we're in the digital era. We're about to be in 2021 in in 2 weeks or so. I think I always say the labels are the labels. Those are like household names and all that kind of stuff. If you're kind of capped off and you're plateauing on your individually, and you don't have extra help, but you're strong at what you do, and maybe someone can help fill that gap and help facilitate those needs for you, then I say great. But it's definitely not needed.
Right.
I think you could definitely do it individually and really focus, your energy in that. And, a team can really help that. For me, as like musical side, I learned that the hard way. I was trying to do everything myself. I'm a Virgo, so I'm very OCD in particular about everything I do, and I want to be involved in everything, right? But sooner I realized I couldn't do everything, and because I'm hard-headed and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to admit that. The quicker I realize, I'm like, okay, I can really focus my energy on this, while someone else is, kind of helping me with this, and to kind of piggyback off of that, just because you're signed with a label, it doesn't mean they're going to do everything for you. The work starts there. A lot of people, twist it around. They're like, oh, I'm on this label, and they're going to do everything for me. It's actually the quite opposite. We're only there to help facilitate your needs and what your intention is.
Sure.
Yeah. Spitty, what
appreciate that.
Agreed.
My question was, I was saying you worked with a lot of big name artists and things like that. I was asking if you found that there was any common trait or characteristic. There are, but I guess it's really subjective from person to person, right? And musically too. I'm very particular on who I work with. I think even from the get-go, and I know a lot of people, work with whoever they want, kind of, to get, the experience and stuff from the get-go, which is great, as we all do. But there's something inside of me that, it always invokes me to, look for something special. And you feel that, right? Anytime any one of you guys are, writing something down, mixing something down, producing something down, DJing something down, and you're really if it doesn't invoke some kind of emotion in you, then I don't think that's direction. I think you have to really feel something and really get connected to something. So I really look for, when I'm working with someone, a similarity is they really have to be in it. They have to believe in themselves more than anybody else. That doesn't mean they have to have an ego, but that means they have to believe in the product, but still have the willingness to learn. And I'm sure we've all come across those people where you walk into the studio and they have a huge ego, right? They're like, oh, I've done this, I've done that. I'm like, that's all great. As soon as you walk in the room, I want all of that to be left at the door. We're all musicians. We're all here to learn. We're all here to great. Let's all get to the end product together. It doesn't matter how we get there, but let's get there.
Right. I like that, man.
That's dope.
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Peter.
Yeah, sorry, I explained it really long. My bad.
Oh, we like this, man. That's what podcasts are for, right?
Yeah.
A little more detail.
And insightful for sure.
Yeah, and on Desi Hip Hop, our audience is a lot of artists around the world. Like obviously there are a lot of fans who are our audience, but a lot of them are artists. So like it's great. Like we do these type of episodes just to spread more knowledge. That's a core part of hip hop. So here we go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing. So we're gonna move on to Saheer. So my question to you is, what is your process? So you're a rapper and a producer, artist, you write your own songs, and, so what's your process? Do you write first? Do you do the music first? What do you do? That's my question to you. Spitty, do you have a question for Saheer?
Yeah, sure. Since you do different aspects of the craft, rapping, writing, engineering, I'm kind of curious how you kind of got into it yourself, like which aspect brought you into it first and how you ended up branching into all of it,
Awesome question. Thank you. Peter, do you have a question for Saheer?
Yeah, man. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of your question for me about engineering. What made you be interested in engineering? Because I thought I was the only one.
Oh, man, no.
What made you kind of like get into that or have an interest in that?
All right, for sure. So rap, we'll start with the process. For my music, it is both ways. Like sometimes like I'll just be in the shower and I'll think of something slick that I say, like to myself and like make myself chuckle. And then from there, like a hook might form. And then, you at that point, you've already established the tempo, where certain like things are going to line up. And it's just a matter of you sitting down and laying it, like kind of arranging around it. Other times, I just like to like dance on the keys a little bit and just like go through sounds and like just hunt for sounds for like 2 hours, 3 hours and to see what makes me happy. It really varies. There's never any like, clear cut way. I try not to fall into patterns because I feel like that's a real easy way to bore yourself. So like, I used to do templates, stopped doing templates because it was just like, it's like you're starting at one spot and you're going to end somewhere and it just became too predictable. So that kind of, I've kind of stayed away from that, but, I think hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
And then, Spitty, what did you asked about? Oh, like how I got into everything. Is that essentially it, right? And I think that's kind of similar to the engineering question too. So hopefully, that Peter asked me. So hopefully, this kind of answers it. But man, like I'll be honest, nobody is rocking with me. Like for the first like 5 years, and like just like being respectful to myself and to everybody who encouraged me. Like I was making some real garbage music the first 5 years. And then like after like 2008 came around and I got to go to college, like I met more people there and like they were willing to, just like learn with me essentially. So then they kind of made me better. And then I started to see that, if I wanted to really like control the music, like I have to do everything. Like there's no in between here, and like not necessarily the mixing and mastering, because I feel like that part could really use like a second ear, to like bring things out that you normally wouldn't and give you a whole different visual. So not for mixing and mastering, but really like the producing side, like I didn't have anybody making beats for me. Like nobody was saying like, hey, spit this, you're gonna sound dope with that. Like my voice was just not where it's at, like for like the majority of my career, So for the most part, it's just like loving this stuff so much that just the process, like you get lost in, and like you don't think about results at all up until like, somebody asks you to look back and you're like, oh damn, yeah, we did that. So yeah, that's kind of like how all of that came about, was like just out of pure necessity. Like if you love something so much, and like you want to bring it to life, you're gonna do anything you can to make that happen. So
Facts.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and so that's Peter. That's pretty much the engineering question too, man. Like I had to figure out like, yo, how are they getting these vocals to sound this way, or like what kind of mic are they using? Like, you start asking the technical questions because you're doing this and you're on your like 60th song and this is nowhere near, and so like you're like, okay, we're not getting something. So and then you start to become more technically savvy. I went to school, shout out to Pops, like in 2015, he put me through to it was like a 9-month program in Emeryville, up north.
What program did you go to? Sir?
It was a SAE expression.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, like school, like for anybody wondering, is great. You kind of look at it like a gym, like, you know, like going to, like, you're only going to get from it what you put into it. And so like I was showing up hungry, you know, like ready to work, and they had like these large format consoles and everything, so you can really figure out signal flow and stuff. And then if you're, I think personally, this might be a little bit like opinionated, but I feel like if you're meant for this life, like those sorts of moments will just like propel you even further forward. You know, I find myself being in the studio for like 8 hours, then it's stretched to 14 hours. And then next thing you know, like we're leaving the next morning, you know, like, so like you just like, you start to like become more and more engrossed in it. And engineering was like really like, you know, 80% of the thing. Like, I feel like the whole process.
We're the unsung heroes, right?
No, for real. Like, and then I think, I mean, honestly, like you see what people go through when they get their fame, and it's just like, yeah, I think it's better you don't sing, you know, let's just get this work in. Yeah.
Nice, man. I love that, man. You dropped a lot of gems over there, man. All of you guys have, actually, man. I appreciate you guys.
I want to ask you a question, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead.
What made you launch this podcast?
Okay. Well, man, you know, since for a long time, I'm a fan of radio. For the longest time, man, I listened to radio. I listened to The Breakfast Club. I listened to things like that, man. All the time, especially when I'm driving. And so I always wanted to have a show. You know, I always wanted to do a podcast, and I did like a pilot of this show like last year or something. And I was planning, like, I just didn't have it right at the time. You know, it was just like, I was doing it over Skype, and it was like, you know, I don't really want to blah, blah, blah. And so when lockdown happened and people were doing live, Desi Hip Hop was doing live like on different platforms. And that's when I was like, all right, man, this is when I'm going to get artists together, get people together. Let's talk to each other. Let's hang out, you know, because everybody's quarantined. Let's make them happy. And, you know, thereby also making the audience happy. And let's get some tidbits, pointers, you know, some advice, and just have some fun, you know, and started doing it every week. And now I don't want to stop. I'm never going to stop, man. This is it. Increase the number of episodes next year, man. So, it's been fun. I love it.
Dope.
Thank you for that question. Awesome, man. You guys, man, it's awesome. It's just so much fun hanging out with artists like you know, like, because that grind, you know, we all face it, right? Like in the music industry, anybody in the music industry faces that fucking grind that like will break you. But then like just talking and hanging out about this shared misery is like inspirational for everybody, you know? So that's awesome. Thank you. All right, man. So I'm going to, move on to the next segment, man. We're almost to the end of the show, but the next segment is called Playlist Placement. All right, playlist placement, man. So every week, as I've mentioned, I listen to a lot of music for our playlists. And this time I want to like put the mic on you guys and see what you guys have on your playlist. What are you guys listening to? This is also a good chance to, put in your plugs. What did you guys release lately so that people can put it in their playlists? So let's talk about playlists, man. Let's start with Peter this time.
Nice. I just released my last project of the year. It was right around Halloween time. It's called Hide and Seek. You can stream it everywhere. I wanted to put, the intention behind this record was, I think for the first time in like history, since like, people have been going trick-or-treating, people have been like partying and all that stuff. And I was like, I felt like that was being taken away from people because of the pandemic. But I'm like, I don't want people to stop dancing. They could, they can do like a home party. And, I performed on like some like Instagram lives and Twitch lives, like and all that stuff. But I wanted to give somebody a product and an experience. We got the segment.
Sorry.
It's like the Oscars when they start rolling the music.
Yeah, playing you off.
I did there. But yeah, go stream it. It's called Hide and Seek. It's out all platforms. And there's a video for it, there's a visual as well. Dope visual. It's connected to a lot of elements in India and stuff. So you guys can go peep that out on YouTube. But as far as like my own individual playlist, kind of like what I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Obviously all the folks that I'm, working with and all that kind of stuff, showing support, or even people that like I'm interested in working with. I'm always scouting. I think if the one thing that I'm always been doing is my ears are always open. I'm always, trying to keep up with the trends and really figure out, what's ahead and what's coming next, and trying to figure out that next sound. And again, kind of to go back to my earlier point was, something that's like melodic and like catchy. You can have an unbelievable R&B down-tempo record, and vice versa. You can have an unbelievable up-tempo and mid-tempo record, and they're all bangers. It's subjective from person to person. If you listen to a lot of R&B, you can have an R&B banger. Believe me. And if you're really into like a dancehall record, you can have like a dancehall vibe, or if you want like an EDM record up tempo, you can have that. So a little bit something for everyone. So like, I have a kind of like a specific curated playlist for me on my Spotify where I'm just, every time I come across something unique, I pop it on there, and then like I listen to it, and then it's like subliminal learning, right? You just have it in the background anywhere you go, and that kind of embeds in your brain. And I encourage all creatives to do that, to kind of get some freedom of expression. If you guys are like stumped and you're stuck to like really like, oh, I can't think of a melody, or I can't think of like a lyric, just listen to other stuff. It's okay. But there are a lot of people that are like, hey, I don't want to listen to anybody else. I don't want to be influenced by anybody else, which is totally cool. But at the same time, I'm not saying listen to somebody and then jack that idea. Be mindful of that, because that does happen. And then you record something like, why does it sound like something else? Oh, it's because I was listening to that like record that I before. So, but I draw inspiration from all that stuff, and you actually hear it in my music. You'll hear like a trap record that I've done, but then it has like R&B influence, or it has like an Indian influence to it. So all those kind of things, man.
Nice, makes sense. That's awesome. Spitty, what are you listening to lately?
Yeah, man. I've been listening to that new Divine album that dropped last week. That's been a banger. Yeah, I've been bumping that for sure. And honestly, man, I just play all the music that like I always listen to like throughout the years. I have like it all on my phone, and I put it on shuffle and go through it all. So any day I could be listening for anything from like Jay-Z to like Mick Jenkins or Joey Badass, or some 50 Cent, Eminem. It's all a mix, man. And man, this year, like honestly, I don't really obviously I just rap in English, and like my family is Gujarati, so I can like speak Gujarati, but it's not really well, because like I grew up here, and like we were just never really in tune with the culture like that. It's a regret now, but like early on, like that was just how we were. So I'm only just kind of really getting into like more of like the Desi hip hop, but through like the playlist you guys have, for example, like the global Desi hip hop playlist, man, I put that on because it's got like so many songs. I think it's like 5 hours long or something.
Yes.
I'll throw that on shuffle and just like bump that too, man, because like it's super curated and they're all bangers, to be honest. So like, and I'm on there, so just a little plug right there. I'm on the playlist.
That's awesome. We're plugging each other, man. I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let me ask you a question. Since you said like, you mentioned many rappers. Can you name some guys that you're working with, or like in the Toronto scene, that we should look out for? Maybe that's a better question for you.
Yeah, man. My boy Norman, he was on my track Lockdown and Clockwork. I know you've heard it, but maybe some of the people watching haven't heard it. He's from Mississauga. Yeah, he's dope. He's actually from Jamaica, but he was telling me the craziest thing where like his grandma, like on his mom's side, is Indian, so he's like an eighth, or his great grandma, sorry, so he's like an eighth Indian, bro.
Oh man.
Yeah. Wow. Because Jamaica had like some indentured workers, right, from back in the day.
Right.
So
yeah, the Caribbean has
a little mix. Yeah, I was like, all right, you're in, bro. We'll get you on the playlist.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Nice. For sure. And then earlier I was mentioning this girl Amira. She's an R&B singer from out here in Mississauga as well. She's dope too. Yeah, that's a couple off the top of my head for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. How about you, Saheer? What have you been listening to lately?
Well, for myself, Don't Trip. It's streaming right now. It's the EP with me and Thoughts. But for myself personally, yeah, like it's very wide. This one song is called "Better Than I Imagined" by Robert Glasper. I'm not sure if y'all heard that.
Great record.
Oh my goodness. And again, I listen from the engineering aspect too. So like listening to a piano sound that big and like just it's pretty amazing. Like there's records like that. I think it was Grammy nominated too. But it goes from there to Future to Young Thug to, you know, yeah, like Spitty was saying, 50 Cent. When you mentioned In the Club, like that was like a turning moment for myself personally, like old 13-year-old Saheer. Like I didn't know what was happening, but the boom, 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 boom. Like, I heard that and it was all the way over. Like I didn't know what this was, but yeah, definitely. And that's, yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Like having Dr. Dre. Yeah, hell yeah, like without a doubt. Yeah, that's crazy though. I didn't know you were Gujarati, Spitty. Yeah, like I am too. I've never met any other Gujarati, to be honest. In the music, like that's not doing, you know, like Gujarati rap or something, you know, like you know, it's actually spin, so that's dope. But yeah, no, like my playlist personally, like it goes all over the place. Like I listen to old school Bollywood music too, man, like the mid '90s, you know, like try to keep the melody fresh. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's the cream of the crop, man. Some of the most original, like fun music I've ever heard. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure that also helps you sample new things for the future as well. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That EP that you mentioned, you know, features Thoughts for Now. I heard it. I really enjoyed it, man. It's a. Thank you. Bro. Gives me a feel of, you know, Russ-like. I don't want to compare any artist to other artists, but
it's cool.
Just the fact of like, you know, producer, rapper to get type of thing, you know, it's very nice, you know, and very real shit too. You guys talk about real things.
Yeah. Like I actually got to actually rap, you know, and like not really do the dance thing. So yeah, man, I like it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That's beautiful. What I'm listening to lately is Bhangra Bangla's latest EP, man. It's called Made in Bangladesh. I really love this shit, man. There's some 5 new songs in there, and I've just been bumping it a lot. But that's for me. All right, guys. So we're gonna move to the last and final segment where I'm gonna get some, you know, advice from you guys for artists who are watching us. And this segment is called Independence is Priceless. Independence is Priceless, brought to you by Tsunomi.io. This segment, I want you guys to give some advice to independent artists out there, you know, who are watching. Just leave, you know, this is the end of the show, so it's your message to the viewers, you know, your message to the independent artists watching. I'd like Saheer to kick this one off for us.
Yeah, independence, man, like, it's everything. Like, make sure, you know, whatever you're doing, you have full access to. You can call upon it whenever you want. It's one thing, you know, to create and to then sell, but then it's another thing to own it after it's been sold, and, you know, you earn while you're not working. Like, that should be the ultimate goal for all of us independent artists, man. Like, yeah, for sure.
Nice, man. I like that. You know, what you mentioned is a real gem, man. Like, have access to it at all times, right? That's what you kind of mentioned, and it's true. Like, many artists, like, they want to record or lay down something, you know, when they're feeling inspired, but just couldn't do it at this time, you know. But you gotta have access to it at all times. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Spitty, bro, what's the message you want to leave for the audience?
Yeah, man. I think you gotta, you know, build your network, build your connects, and reach out to people, and keep grinding like that. You know, spread your network like that. And I think as an independent artist, maybe if you don't have a team, you know, you gotta be your own team before that team comes along. You gotta be your own biggest cheerleader. And this is like the Desi Hip Hop platform. And I know, like, bro, a lot of Indian artists, they do this thing where they slide in the DMs and then they'll be like, "Hello, brother, collab." Like, within like the first 5 minutes, bro. It's like, bro, you didn't even follow me yet, and like, you just hit me with, sir, collab, please. It's like, bro, I think you gotta build the friendship, you know, build the network. Like, give me feedback on my video. Like, let me know what you actually like. Like, why are we even collabing? Like, I don't even know you. You know, it's like, so build that network, build that connection, and then from there, you know, you actually want to do music with each other and grow like that. It's not just about like artificially kind of forcing these collabs or whatever, I think. So yeah, nice. So don't call my DMs with no "sir" collab anymore, please.
Nice, man. That's good advice, man.
Sounds like you got firsthand experience. Who be sliding into your DMs, bro?
Yeah, this hip hop page got like 100K followers, man. There's a lot of them, bro.
Yeah, they're out there for real.
But that's a great advice, man, especially at the beginning of careers. Like, build those networks authentically. That's the best piece of advice for people. Be authentic, be there, DM people, be active, be really active, DM people, but just be authentic. Don't be like a fucking weirdo or a creeper, right?
Don't be a weirdo. Don't be a fucking weirdo. That's great advice.
Awesome. Peter Madana, what's the message you want to leave for the independent artists out there?
Man, there's some gems I can drop, man. I think there's a few things, right? I think the first thing is don't give up. The obvious suspect. I think it could, for a lot of people, it's very cosmetic on the outside, and we look at Instagram, we look at TikTok, and we look at all these social platforms. You're really seeing the final product, like what's out there, but you're not really seeing what's happening behind the scenes and how hard these people are working. And there are a lot of people that have kind of just given up, and they're like, man, nothing's really happening. I'm not getting any bites. What am I doing wrong? All those kind of things. Let me remind you, Quincy Jones didn't make Thriller until he was like 50, 60 years old. He was an older guy. He's had, some like success, and like he's worked with some people up until that time, but he didn't really take off until that Thriller album with MJ, right? So at that age, for him to do it, I think all it takes is one person to really show you that it's feasible, and I think everyone else can like lead, right? And especially to transition to my next point is like, independency is key. My label may hate me for saying this, but I think being independent is one of the strongest things we could do as a human being and as a musician as well, right? And the thing about that is like, we have all of the tools, we have all of the knowledge, or we have access to all of the knowledge rather. Don't be lazy. Hone in on your craft, like Saheer was saying, and really, or sorry, maybe Spitty was saying, what do you guys, and you guys are really like practicing your craft and really like owning that, even before you slide into other people's DMs, or, a lot of people want to go from 0 to 100. You want overnight success. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately, right? I mean, it does, there are certain people that just have overnight success, but how likely is that? Very slim chance, right? If you want to say that you're in that slim chance, you can go for it. I am someone that, that works, and I've worked like for like my whole life. And even to this point, I'm still grinding. We're all grinding to get to where we want to be, right? And having all of those tools in 2020, leading up to this new year, is very powerful. And don't think that you need like a big name behind you to be successful. It doesn't mean shit, honestly. Again, the only reason you would need that network is if you're capped individually and you can no longer move forward. But I think everyone should look at it as a linear growth, right? You want to keep growing and growing and excelling as a human being and as a musician. So having all the tools, like doing distribution by yourself and doing the YouTube side by yourself and the marketing, the branding. But again, we totally understand that not everyone is cut off for that. Maybe your strong suit is only a rapper or is only a producer. Yeah. That's totally cool. And like what you guys are saying, it's like, build a team, but when time is ready. Just because you think other artists have a manager doesn't mean you need a manager. Maybe you're not ready for that yet, Right. You have to take baby steps before you get to that point. And then the other thing about it is like being independent is really strong. Is Raph gave me like a great like intro, like and all this stuff and all the people that like I've worked with and everything. But it's like I was friends with those people before like I worked with them. I was like I wanted to like build with the people I kind of came up with, similar to, when you were in school. So here, let me ask you, do you still keep in touch with like the people that, you go to school with and stuff like that? Some of like the people from there?
Yeah. Like two or three of them for sure.
Right? Yeah. So like, I'm similar in that situation in my musical journey and my schooling and like, and all that stuff. I keep in touch with those people because I was coming up with them. Feel me? Right. Like I was coming up with them and I was like, hey, cool. We both understand each other. I'm more likeliness to trust you because I've seen your work. I've seen the work ethic that you're putting in, rather than just try to go get something because they have like a big household name. That's all cool and stuff and everything. But I think real growth comes is when you support one another, especially, I'm using this platform to like, preach this a little bit. So excuse me, but let's support one another, especially in the South Asian community. I see a lot of like, competition, and music should never be that. It should never be competition. It should never be about the numbers and all that stuff. It should really be about the music, and the numbers will follow naturally, right?
Sure.
So I think, I think as South Asian people, and especially using this platform like Desi Hip Hop, let's support one another, on the playlists and on the video ships and promoting our stuff. And even, pre-COVID days when people were having shows, come out. Like when my homie was performing, guess what? If I was available, I would go support my homie on stage.
Right.
I would show that like I'm supporting him, But there are other cats out there that don't do that. I'm like, nah, man, I'm cool. Like I don't want to go support him. I mean, everyone has their own prerogative, but that's just my intention. Again, sorry for preaching, but like again, that goes along with the music industry. Like support one another, be independent, be strong, and hone your craft.
Hell yeah, man. Love that, man.
What?
To drop some bombs over there.
There you go.
It's all facts, man. Thank you, Peter, for sharing that. Some real gems, and I know that people will get a lot out of that. People will get a lot out of all three of you, man, in this episode. So I love this. Just want to take this moment to acknowledge you guys, man. Like Saheer, you're such a hard worker, bro. Like you've been on the grind for so many years. I've seen you. I've known you for a while, and
thank you, bro. Yeah,
high quality. I love it.
And thank you for having me, man. Like this has been so much fun, man, for real. And like through the years, bro, you've been helping, you've been placing, staying in contact, man. I know it's a lot of hard work, and I'm just one of like so many of us. So, man, thank you for all that you do. Appreciate you, bro.
No, hell yeah, bro. It's my pleasure, man. Spitty, man. Like I see your hard work ethic as well, man. Every fucking week you're doing something new. So like, thank you, bro. Keep doing that, man.
It.
I really appreciate that.
Gotta stay on the grind, man.
Yeah, living up to your name, for real.
Yeah. Peter as well, man. Like over the years, man, I've known you and you've gone through so many different things, man. So many different experiences with production, mixing, mastering, now the A&R label side, like so many experiences, man. I appreciate that. You're always learning, always trying to get other people to learn as well and spread some knowledge. So, thank you for that, man. Thank you for being you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Awesome, guys. I really had a good time tonight, man. Thank you for being here. I'll hit you guys up on WhatsApp and whatnot. And for the viewers out there, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
DJ raffled up, yo. Desi Hip Hop General, check it. Unfiltered, con artist, New York City. Yo, we ain't cloud chasing, we about facing the devil. You about hating, we about raising up people levels. Ain't no doubt, Masons, I'm building upward, you seeking trouble. I'm out waiting, caught in the matrix, but keep my hustle. The devil whisper, but I come mentally with the muscle. When the rebels spitting sinkers, all of this